Hi guys. So I'm going to explain to you how I wrote the song Wedding Day, which I released last Sunday. If you haven't listened to the song yet, make sure you check it out right after watching this video. So I'm first going to talk about the background of the song, then about how I wrote the lyrics, and then I'm going to explain how I wrote the music and how I produced it later on. So a couple of weeks ago, I was lying in bed here, and I couldn't fall asleep. I wrote so many songs when I couldn't fall asleep. I don't know, I feel like at night is just my most creative time of the day. So I was scrolling down the news and then I found this article about a couple who got married in the intensive care unit at the Milton Keynes Hospital in January. I read the story, which was basically about a couple. They were 31 and 36. She was a nurse. They both caught COVID and they both had to go to hospital to get additional oxygen. And in hospital, his situation just deteriorated really quickly. He had to be transferred to the intensive care unit to be put on a ventilator. The couple had originally planned to get married last July, but because of the COVID restrictions, they had to postpone the wedding. So she told the nurses in the hospital about the postponed wedding plans, and the hospital staff advised them to get married now in hospital as it could be their last chance. This story just deeply touched me when I read it. So I had wanted to write a hospital song for a long time, but I was always looking for the right story. And then when I read this story on the news, I knew that was the one, because it was telling a very tragic story in a very positive way. And I thought that was really beautiful. I immediately had lyrics streaming into my head. So the first lyrics that I wrote was the first chorus, the second chorus, the third chorus, and the outro, which says, "If this was the end, I want you to die a married man." So this is what I wrote that night. And I wasn't entirely sure how to best tell the story, because I wanted to tell it in a positive, optimistic way. But all that I had in my head was this really horrible situation the couple were in. I asked Will what he thinks. Basically, I decided that the verses should be about all the things you usually have at a wedding, which are replaceable and feel just as good. The choruses are about all the things that you cannot replace. I also read other articles about other couples that got married in hospital. The articles had really beautiful facts in them. For example, the medical staff throwing confetti, which they've made with a hole punch, which I thought was such an amazing thing. So that is a true story. Yeah, so a lot of the examples in the verses are actually true facts. For example, she was in a different ward and was brought to his ward for the wedding. So I pictured the moment of her being moved to the different ward, kind of like going down the aisle. Another thing that's a true fact is the paper bunting as decorations, which I saw on the picture of that article, which I just thought was a really sweet way of doing it. So I've got to say I haven't kept 100% to the facts, but I wanted it to be as true as possible. So the chorus basically paints the picture of a happy wedding day, but a happy wedding day that's different. So it says, "Darling, it's our wedding day at this most unlikely place." And then the next two lines are about all the things that cannot be replaced. And then in the end it says, "It's fine anyway, because I love you so much, I don't care." So the bridge gets a lot darker, because I wanted to also tell the situation they were in. I felt like the article that I read just excluded everything that was bad about it, but it kind of hinted at it, and I felt like the thing the article hinted at needs to be said too. So in the bridge you have the struggle of him being put on a ventilator and him being put into medically induced coma, which is the "just breathe darling" and "sweet dreams darling." For the bit after that, which is basically a chorus, but I think of it as part of the bridge. So the article said that she was a nurse, and I thought it must be very hard for all the nurses who were standing around watching it to cope with, because all the nurses around them probably think this nurse who is getting married just now on the intensive care unit, that could be me, and the groom could be my partner. So I'm kind of exploring the thoughts and emotions of the nurses, by putting myself into their shoes. I'm thinking, if I was a nurse and I watched this wedding, this is what I would think. But it's still out of the bride's perspective, so the bride knows what the others are thinking without saying it, because this is what she would think if she saw this. That's very convoluted. We always have a very generous view of what a happy song is. But to me, it is a beautiful and optimistic song. It is about trying to talk about pain in a very positive way. We did spend a lot of time crying producing the song though. Nods in the background. Oops. So I hope this song shows everybody that no matter what difficulties we go through in this pandemic, it's always possible to push through and do the right thing and be kind to each other. I found out that the article that I read was updated, and the updated version says that they now lie next to each other on the recovery ward. So I think the story has a happy ending. Okay, so now I want to explain to you guys how I recorded and produced this song. I just need to say in the beginning, I'm by no means an expert in this. I kind of started teaching myself how to do this stuff about 6 weeks ago. But I've been asked how I do it, so here's my explanation. Right, so this is the song. So this song is a waltz, and it's the first waltz I've written, and I wanted to do this for a long time. I thought for a wedding themed song this would work really well. First of all, here's the piano, which is always what I start with. It's super simple. It actually sounded already quite nice with just the piano and the main voice, so I didn't want to add too much and overload the song, so I tried to keep it as minimal as possible. So next I added this, which is like a virtual vibraphone, and I thought it sounded a bit like wedding bells. I've also pitched them up by an octave to make them sound more like bells. Those bells basically play the chords of the canon in E, which is a song that's super commonly used in weddings. So I just wanted to give this hint of, like, you know, make people remember wedding songs while listening to it. I wanted it to sound like a wedding song. This is a pretty high instrument, the highest in the arrangement. So next I wanted to put in the lowest. So instead of a bass or something, I just added some low strings, which play the same thing as the vibraphone, just like 2 octaves deeper. And then the next thing I've added is this beeping of a heart monitor, and obviously that gives it a very hospitally feel. And the heart monitor is particularly present in those first 2 bars. It's actually throughout both verses, it's always there. I pitch shifted up to play a D, because the song is in D. And also because the recording I had lots of like different volumes of the heart monitor, so I also leveled the volumes. The other thing I've added is a backing vocal, which is very soft, and I put convolution reverb on it to make it sound more like unnatural. Then the only thing that's missing is obviously the voice. I tried to keep it as natural as possible. I had some problems with the microphone, so I needed to bring out the actual sound a bit. So I put a very, very soft speech volume leveler just so the high bits aren't just loud. And then a de-esser to make the S sounds less sharp. I wear a hospital gown of white. In the chorus, which is this part, you still got the vibraphone, still the bells, they do the same thing throughout the whole song. And then we've got the low strings, which do the same thing as the vibraphone. I took out the heart monitor, which is just the beep in the background, and then I've added in strings, and the strings play notes of the canon in D. The canon in D is not a waltz, so I changed the melody a bit to fit into a waltz. but I think it's still recognizable. I will play the volume it's set now, and then I'll turn it up so you can hear it better. It's a wedding day at this most unlikely place. Yeah, so that's just going on in the background. Other than that, we've got additional backing vocals coming in, which are basically just supporting the main melody. It's a wedding day at this most unlikely place. Then next chorus is, it's the same arrangement. It's different lyrics in the second chorus. And then it gets interesting again in the bridge. So the first part of the bridge is very soft because it's very, it's a very internal struggle. So I want the voice to come out very clearly. Is the first time that the vibraphone, those bells are gone, the cannon is gone too, and the heart monitor is gone. So we've actually only got the low strings and the piano as instruments here. The thing that's in the bridge for the first time in the song is this heartbeat, which is obviously the hospital setting again, but also it gets very near to you, this heartbeat. Just breathe, darling, darling, breathe. All I need is for you to breathe. And then the bridge is repeated with more of a boom to it. We've got more backing vocals coming in. Just breathe, darling, darling, breathe. Yeah, you get the idea. Another thing that I tried out but then decided not to put into the final song is these breaths that I've recorded. And they work musically. The reason I took them out was because I felt like the topic of the song was too close to people. It made it too realistic, and I wouldn't want someone who has lost a family member or a friend of COVID to just get a massive shock by listening to this. So I only left the heartbeat in. I'll show you for a few seconds what it sounded like. Just breathe, darling, darling, breathe. All I need is for you to breathe. Yeah, and then here, this is the part with the additional breath. For you to breathe, sweet dreams, darling, darling, sleep, darling, please stay with me. As you would have heard just now, is the last line, the stay with me, is very quiet. It's only the piano and the low strings and then this heartbeat, because it's very internal. Right, then this next bit is technically a chorus, but I also kind of think of it as a second bridge because it's more of the energy level of the bridge, but it is the same melody as a chorus. It's basically the point of minimum energy here, because the piano suddenly stops playing what is played for the whole song and just plays chords. And then it's just the voice. Even the low strings stop here, and this is the only place in the song where they stop. And instead of the low strings, I've got this second backing vocal which sings a low note. As if I hadn't saved other lives, you might be just fine. And now the rest is coming back in. I never would have thought we'd marry on a COVID ward. So now the string canon is back, so this is the transition into the fourth chorus. Pretty much everything that was in the choruses before is back. And this last chorus is kind of the most energetic point of the song, because it's basically trying to forget all the dark feelings and just focus on the happiness of the day. The voice is a bit louder, the backing vocals is a bit louder than before. Darling, it's a wedding day at this most unlikely place. And then there's this outro, which is kind of getting quiet again. So the backing vocals are gone, the bells go, the low strings are still there. This is the end. I want you to die a married man. really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to press the like button below and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, check out the song Wedding Day, and also check out my other behind the scenes videos. See you guys soon.